What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. Last time out, we were at the Belgian Grand Prix. It was a sprint weekend, and if you haven't watched it yet, then I suggest you do go back and watch, because we got a double points finish, both in the sprint and in the race itself. We managed to pick up a very respectable chunk of points, and it took us back to 7th in the Constructors' Championship, and I think we're currently like 10th or 11th in the Drivers' Championship as well, so we're looking really solid at the moment in this first season of My Team Career Mode, despite the fact that we have what is currently the worst car on the grid. We don't seem to be suffering too much from that, you know. We were contending with Ferraris in Belgium and Netherlands. It's a track that is very dear to my heart. It is where I got my first race win in F1 22 Career Mode. And whilst I don't anticipate that will be the case in F1 23, at least this season, I still have a good place for this, or good memories of this place, and I hope that we can get another good result here in my first season in F1 23. We are currently looking for P8 in the championship in terms of sponsorship bonuses. You know, our title sponsor wants us to get P8 in the Constructors' Championship. We are locked in a battle with Haas over P7 though, so I think regardless of what happens, unless one of Williams, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo really sort of builds their way out of the sort of backmarker position that they're in and into a consistent points finishing role, I can't really see us finishing any lower than P8 no matter what happens, even if we take a bit of a step backwards for the rest of the season, which honestly, despite the fact that our development has been pretty squarely towards the bottom of the field, we've still managed to find ourselves consistently in the points, I would say, over the last, ever since Miami, to be honest. So the last like 10 races or so, I think like 7 or 8 of those have been points finishes, which is really encouraging to see. And we also have a power unit upgrade as courtesy of the supplier, which is great to see. And we're going to be looking at maybe doing a cheeky facility upgrade here. And we're going to be improving the pace of Enzo Fittipaldi. It won't be on the car until Monza, but when it is on the car, it will be very interesting, and it could be good for our car and for our chances of getting maybe Enzo's first points finish if he can boost some of his stats a little bit. But yeah, we'll see what's going to happen as we get into the Netherlands. It is a track that rewards having a pretty decent aero package, but also a strong chassis. And whilst our aero package is actually pretty top notch, it's about as good as it can get for the time being. Our chassis is absolutely 100% in the bin. So yeah, we kind of need to be working on some chassis upgrades. I think the next facility upgrade that I might invest in is perhaps dual fabrication, so we can fabricate 2 parts in the chassis department at the same time. I think that would go a long way towards helping us boost our production in the chassis department. But you know, at the same time, we've got to focus on other facilities like the marketing and the personnel facilities. I think are going to be big ones that we want to put a lot of effort and investment into. I still don't know whether I'm going to be re-signing Enzo for the next season or not. But in any case, we want to make sure that we have enough money to at least give us the option to do that come the end of the season. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. We were pretty slow in practice. We were, wow, look at that, P19 and 20, and Enzo was actually ahead of me. Yeah, not sure what was going on with that. I don't know whether I just couldn't find the pace or something like that. There's also a weird glitch going on here at ZANDVOORT, which you'll see shortly, where the DRS zone, the sort of main straight, pit straight DRS zone, starts round the corner, so you can activate DRS round the corner, which is really scary. But the AI obviously can maintain pretty strong control of that. So yeah, it is something I'm a little bit concerned about. Maybe could mean that it's going to give the AI some frankly unfair overtaking opportunities. But we will see with regards to that, whether that turns out to be a factor in this Grand Prix or not. And finally, after God knows how long, we are going to get into some qualifying. And it is time for Q1. We are on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. We crossed the line to do a 1:11.1, and we're looking pretty good so far. I would say that time might be good enough to get us through, but the only people who we're confirmed ahead of at the moment are Joe and Albon and we risked it on the same set of tyres again, and it very nearly didn't pay off for us. In the end, we could only scrape through in P15 to Q2, and I'm hoping that in Q3 we'll be able to find a tad more pace than that, because Lord knows I do not want to be eliminated in Q2 at one of my favourite circuits at the moment. So yeah, pretty much the usual suspects being knocked out here. The Haas of Hulkenberg seems to be having a really torrid time in qualifying. Both Williams, my teammate Enzo Fittipaldi there in P19, De Vries in 21st, and Zhou Guanyu failed to set a time actually, so I'm not sure what that was about. But yeah, he didn't make it through. I think Hulkenberg was only a few hundredths off of being in the safe zone as well, so pretty disappointing for him, but that's life. And yeah, we'll see what we can do now in Q2. We're on another fresh set of soft compound tyres. We only took one for the previous session. This time, however, we might have to do two by the looks of things, because we've actually gone slower than we went on our first lap in Q1. It was a 1:11.1 that we did over there, 1:11.2 this time. However, we are a good chunk up on our second fresh set of tyres. It's going to be a 1:10.4. Will that be good enough to see us through to Q3 though? Yes, it will. We're in P8 and we will be seeing Q3 for another time this season. We've been pretty unstoppable in qualifying, and whilst it has made it that we've been in a position to get good points on a number of occasions, another thing it has meant is that unfortunately we just have been suffering so much in the races because we've just been absolutely outclassed. It is Piastri, Magnussen, Stroll, Bottas, Tsunoda and Gasly. 6 drivers from 6 different teams being eliminated there in Q2, and we make it through along with a handful of drivers here, including Norris, Ocon, Alonso, the 2 Red Bulls, the 2 Mercedes, and the 2 Ferraris. And yeah, we're going to be seeing if we can maybe get a little bit further up the order than just a P10. We're in P9 at the moment on a used set of soft compound tyres, and then we're going to go out again on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. And this time actually won't be as good as my best time in Q2. We crossed the line, it's a 1:10.4, but it's a slightly slower 1:10.4 than last time, and it is good enough for P9. So yeah, in the end we couldn't quite reach the highs of Q2, but still a pretty solid time.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Hamilton,
Verstappen,
and Carlos Sainz. Goodbye for now then, but we are really just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Frustratingly, I think that there was the possibility of us getting P8 or P7 or something like that there, but we just couldn't live up to that, unfortunately. If we'd have been like 1 or 2 tenths faster, it would have been enough. This rivalry with Pierre Gasly looks like it's almost done and dusted, provided we don't have a DNF in the race. I think there's no other way that Pierre Gasly is going to be able to win the rivalry over us now. And yeah, that means that we are going to be bumping the difficulty up, and that is going to be the first difficulty change that will be coming on in time for Monza, provided we don't have a DNF in this race, of course. And we will be we'll be pushing the difficulty up to what would it be? 96. So yeah, that'd be the highest difficulty I'd ever played an F1 game on. Very excited for that. It looks like there might be some rain potentially towards the end of the Grand Prix. That might not hit in time for the end of the Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see. And yeah, now it is time for us to get into the Dutch Grand Prix.
For years, the people of Zandvoort fondly recalled the Grand Prix they used to hold, and then came along Max Verstappen. Across Europe, the Orange Army sold seats and seats and seats, and now they have their own Grand Prix. It is time for race day in the Netherlands. Zandvoort circuit then, 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout the 2.6 mile lap. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who will start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Norris, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Robinson, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Bottas, Tsunoda, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Albon, Fittipaldi, Sargent, De Vries, Zhou, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. Joined once again by Anthony Davidson for this one. Ant, there's a lot of incidents on track recently for this driver. No one does that on purpose. It is part and parcel of racing, though.
Certainly confidence is an important factor. And every time you're involved in an accident, it's not just the car you damage, but that confidence as well. But all the top racing drivers are able to tune that out when the race gets underway and focus on the job at hand.
Okay, we've got that relief of having points on the board finally, so let's keep that form up and get another top 10 finish today, please.
Well, we're certainly looking good for a top 10 finish today as we start inside the top 10, P9, and we'll see if we can go from P9 to maybe a few positions higher. We know that the AI at the moment is absolutely crap off of the start. And I mean, I'm on a good AI difficulty as well, so you can't even argue that it's like, you know, I'm on too low a difficulty or anything like that. I think just for whatever reason they seem to really be suffering off the start compared to your typical driver. So for the time being, I think that is going to be a thing, maybe until they change that. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll park up on the grid now. We'll see what we can do. 0.3, not bad. And yeah, we'll see if we can get a good start as we get ready to go now, as the lights come on for the Dutch Grand Prix. And the lights go out, and it looks like we have gotten away pretty well compared to Alonso. Leclerc with a shocking start there. Norris gets wedged in as well. We're going to go around the outside here of Leclerc and Norris potentially as well. We find our way up into P7, P6 as we get ahead of Lando Norris there. And yeah, unfortunately, Leclerc's terrible start kind of boxed in Lando Norris a little bit there. And I think he actually, for once in his life, didn't have a completely appalling start in a Formula 1 Grand Prix, at least in this F1 My Team career mode. He's got a bit of a reputation for having pretty poor starts, but on this occasion it wasn't bad. He just had nowhere to go, and that has allowed us through on him. I imagine we'll be coming under pressure from these guys very, very soon, but for the time being I'm happy to have control of the position, and we will see if we can hold on to it for as long as we can. 6th position, of course, towards 8 points. And that would be absolutely pivotal in our fight for P7 in the Constructors' Championship. Without 2 consistent points finishers, I don't think that we'll be finishing any higher than there. McLaren and Alpine are sort of 20-30 points up the road from us at the moment, and I don't think I can overcome a deficit like that on my own, especially when they're both consistently finishing in the points. You know, Piastri, Norris, and Ocon and Gasly can both get into the points on good occasion. So yeah, we're already out of Russell's DRS range. Hamilton leading the Dutch Grand Prix, and I'm sure that the fans will absolutely hate that. But as we move now into the end of lap 3, you can see that what I predicted is finally starting to come to fruition as Norris gets ahead of me, and not only Norris but also Leclerc is trying to challenge up my inside, and yeah, he makes the move perhaps a bit too trivially, and I mean, the pain does not stop there as we move to the end of the lap. You can see I'm now coming under pressure from Fernando Alonso as well, who is going to try and get ahead of me, and he does manage to do exactly that, and is through into P8, and oh, that is harsh. That is not what I would have wanted at all, but you know, you take what you can get in this career mode. We're still in the points, so I guess it's fine even if we're back down to where we started. But here comes Piastri to push us down even further, and my god, we are just absolutely suffering through that corner. Like I said, with that glitch with the DRS, you know, even though I'm activating it through that corner, I have to be very cautious, and it seems like the AI just pick up so much more speed on the exit. You can see Bottas, I have DRS, and Bottas is just breezing past, and yeah, we try and go wide to avoid going into the back of him, and that actually allows Esteban Ocon through as well. So we are down into P12, and I just want to stop losing positions at this point, but yeah, that might be easier said than done, unfortunately. We'll see if we can hold on to it, but as we move now towards the end of lap 8, you can see that Lance Stroll is just a 10th behind me, and by the time that we get through the corner, he is going to be closing me down, getting ahead of me. I'm going to try and fight on the outside of him. Who's going to come out on top? Will it be me on the outside or Stroll on the inside? We're wheel to wheel, but I go a bit wide, and it's all too easy for Lance in the end. And yeah, I mean, that is absolutely terrible Not what we wanted at all there, but perhaps what we deserved. But it's not all doom and gloom. We will gain a position back, because you can see Sergio Perez, for what feels like the 14th time this season, is having a retirement from the Grand Prix. You know, all of the Red Bulls, all of the Mercedes, all of the Ferraris, and Max Verstappen are contending in the championship fight, and Sergio Perez is very far afield of them, and it is in no small part due to the fact that his reliability seems to be 10 times worse than Max Verstappen's is. So you can see that up front, Piastri and Bottas battling over that 9th place position, and we've actually managed to find ourselves in a little bit of a train. Maybe the soft compound tyres started going off after Stroll got past me, but yeah, I didn't have to worry about it too much beyond that point. So we find ourselves currently in where are we? P12 as a result of that DNF for Perez, and yeah, maybe we might be able to fight our way back into the points. But in a DRS train, you know, we've got Piastri, Bottas, Ocon, Stroll, myself, Hulkenberg, and Gasly. I think that it will be difficult to make up any positions at the moment, but we'll see what we are capable of doing as we move through this hairpin into the DRS zone. You can see Ocon has had a spin there. Stroll has slowed down. I've gone straight into the back of him. Hulkenberg into the back of me. Safety car deployed, and yeah, we're going to be progressing onwards for the time being, but not for much longer, as a red flag has been deployed. And, well, it's time to see once and for all whether they actually are fixed or not. This video was recorded after the patch where they claimed that that the red flags have been fixed, but we will see whether that rings true or not. So here is the strategy that they want to move us on to. We were close to the pit window anyway, so unsurprisingly, they're going to be putting us on a set of hard compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, and we will see what we can do as we get ready to go once again in the Dutch Grand Prix. And the lights go out, and we've gotten away nicely. There seems to be some kind of strategy change, but the red flag out again. This is a glitch they clearly haven't fixed at the moment, is this this double red flag thing. We did make up a couple positions off of that, but I don't know if we'll be allowed to keep them or not. But yeah, what that does mean actually is that because we're going to be restarting on lap 19, they are going to put us back on a set of medium tyres for the rest of the race. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. As we go on the medium tyres once again here in Zandvoort. And the lights go out once again. We are behind Stroll again. I guess the red flag was called before we managed to get ahead of him. Meanwhile, his teammate has gotten away incredibly poorly. Stroll, meanwhile, with an absolutely great start. We're going to try and go around the outside of Piastri and maybe some other drivers if we can. We're wheel-to-wheel with Piastri at the moment as we come through the first few corners. But he is going to end up getting ahead of me once again. We're going to try and go around the outside at the hairpin here. Will we be able to make the move stick on this occasion? Yes, we will. We have the traction. I love this game. I would never have been able to do that on F1 22. And yes, we are up into P9. Apparently they want me to stop again on lap 28. You can absolutely say your prayers if you think I'm going to do that. But yeah, we are up into P9 now, where we started the Grand Prix once again. And let's see if this time we can actually hold on to this position on a set of medium tyres for the remainder of the Grand Prix. Lap 21 now. We're coming to the end of the lap. Max Verstappen sets the fastest lap of the race. I don't know if he's in the lead, whether he's leading his home race or not, but we are once again coming under pressure from cars behind. Despite the fact that I've got DRS to Alonso's teammate, he's still fancying a move up the inside. Will he be able to make the move stick? Yes, he will, and he is up into P9, and we have only one position before we fall out of the points again. And man, I really do not want that to happen. You know, we've been pushing so hard. I definitely feel like we deserve some points, but maybe the pace of the car is just not with us this time. I feel like it is the chassis, as I was saying before. It's just not where the other cars are, and that is allowing them to just breeze past me on the straights with good exits from the final corners. Piastri gets ahead of me once again, coming under pressure from Zhou Guanyu. And now as we move on to the end of lap 25, I wonder if it's going to be Zhou trying to make the move on me as well. Medium tyres starting to go off. You can see that Magnussen on those hard compound tyres, he might be a threat as well. And yeah, Zhou up my inside. Will he be able to make the move stick? I think he will, unfortunately. He's just a tiny bit too far ahead for me to fight this back. But yeah, we will see. Is he going to make it back, or am I going to get back past him? We're actually going to slip back through up into P11. So yeah, we managed to hold off Zhou for the time being, and we're going to speed up through the rest of the lap and see if we can close down Piastri and Stroll, who've been battling a little bit. See if I can get back into the fight there to try and hold off Zhou for a bit longer. But I don't think I'm going to be in their DRS range this time. How close is Zhou going to be as we come through this corner? 2/10 at the moment. He's going to be absolutely breezing past me with the DRS. I'm running low on battery as well. I'm trying to hold on to as much of it as I can. And yeah, this is just an absolutely terrible situation we find ourselves in at the moment. We cannot compete with these guys, absolutely not whatsoever, basically. And yeah, we find ourselves once again down in 11th place. Magnussen has started to battle us as well, and I think he is going to make the move up into P11. We're falling down to P12, and it's going to get even worse from there, as you can see that Ocon, even with that 5-second penalty, he's starting to close me down. I don't know how Joe fell all the way down to 14th place, but either way, I think that he might be getting past us somewhat soon. I just want to stay ahead of Gasly if I can to make sure I absolutely comprehensively outscore him in this rivalry if I can. Ocon with that 5-second penalty, so we want to try and stay in range of him if we can. Meanwhile, Joe absolutely blitzing his way past us, pushing us down into P14, and this is just sad at this point. It's just sad. I wish it was something more than that, but well, on the topic of sad, 3 laps to go, and this is Charles Leclerc in one of his main championship rivals' home races, potentially an opportunity to take some points out of the championship lead of his teammate as well, and he is going to be pulling over to the side of the track to say his prayers and say goodbye to any chance of him scoring points here in Zandvoort. It's not been a fantastic season for Leclerc, but he's managed to hold on regardless. Meanwhile, we are still trying to close down Zhou Guanyu for this P12 on track, which will be P11 with Ocon's time penalty applied, provided we stay within 5 seconds of him. And you can see also it is starting to rain, which may throw up some problems for us at the end of the Grand Prix. If you know F1 as well as I know F1, you know that the AI are a damn sight faster in the in conditions on the wrong tyres than the player can be. You know, if you're into conditions on the wets or vice versa, or even in wet conditions on the dries, then quite often that can pose some serious problems for you. However, on this occasion, I think that we have just about managed to get away with it. We are going to hold on to this P13 on track. I don't know whether we were in 5-second range of Ocon or not. That is going to determine whether we're going to be P12 or P13 at the end of the Grand Prix. It looks like the penalty is going to get applied, and that is going to promote us up the order into P12. And yeah, an interesting race overall.
But they've persevered to take the win here today. Natalie, fill us in. What was it that helped the team achieve their success today?
Well, they are very much at one with the car, which is a cliche, but it's true. It's not an easy process, and that work is very much paying off.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
And the man who now has teeth as of the latest patch finds himself on the top step of the podium. Meanwhile, it is Max Verstappen P2 and Lewis Hamilton P3 as well. So yeah, they all have good races in terms of their championship fights. Meanwhile, the Ferraris perhaps riding the struggle bus these last couple of races. Could it be that Ferrari are going to bottle the championship as they often do? Maybe. It was a difficult race for us. I was hoping for some points. They didn't quite materialise, but I still think that we can be content with a P12
so let's
finish.
Have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed.
The gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race today for our championship leader.
Let's focus on driver of the day, Natalie Pinkham. Come on. Who do you pick?
Often, my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack.
Another team that will be satisfied with this Grand Prix is Alfa Romeo, whose good results moves them further up the championship.
Well, that certainly was an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Well, it's a very tight fight for P7 in the constructors at the moment between ourselves and Haas. They only 6 points behind us, and Kevin Magnussen did pick up another one in that Grand Prix. I kind of am amazed that I'm managing to outperform Hülkenberg and Magnussen combined, you know, because these are two drivers which I would happily sign to my own team at some point, and I'm even considering signing for next season to potentially help us to develop the car, get a little bit of that experience on board, and you know, boost our resource point gain and whatnot. But yeah, we're looking pretty good. We're 10th in the driver Drivers' Championship as well. Tied on points with Pierre Gasly. There's a few cars ahead of us, including Norris and Piastri. Those two guys looking really solid. I think Piastri's podium doing quite a bit of legwork as far as that's concerned. You know, he finished was it P2 in Austria in that race that we should have been on the podium as well, but that was when the red flag glitch applied. As you can see, clearly the red flag thing has been partially solved. It's still throwing up double red flags occasionally, which is a little bit annoying, but generally the finishing positions being wrong problem has been resolved. So as long as we don't have any of those weird glitches where it throws cars who are at the back of the field into P1, you can see that was like a domino effect there, that crash with Stroll and Ocon. But yeah, as long as we don't have any of those glitches, it should not throw up too many issues for us, hopefully, in future races and whatnot. But yeah, anyway, we're pretty happy with that. You know, we didn't score any points, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it or anything like that. We have the potential to maybe bounce back in Monza. I don't really know how Monza is going to go. That was a race where I got massively out-tractioned by the AI on last year's game. So I'm curious to see whether that is still going to be the case in this year's game, whether tyre wear maybe is going to play a factor, because obviously you might remember that in Baku we really struggled with the tyre wear, and I think the Monza and Baku are quite similar circuits in the sense that they've got these big long acceleration sections after like slow corners. So I would be really interested to see whether that ends up being the case or not. We do win the rivalry over Pierre Gasly, so we will be upping the difficulty for the first time in this career mode up to 96, which is pretty exciting. I was not expecting it, but here we are. And yeah, meanwhile, we are acclaim level 10, so we are progressing nicely with that. We didn't quite achieve a top 10 finish during the race. That's okay. I'm sure we'll be able to bounce back within a race or two. There are some difficult ones coming up for us. Monza, Singapore, Japan, not particularly beloved tracks of mine, but you know, maybe we'll be able to scrape a points finish in at least one of those Grand Prix. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed, then please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.